Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelly Hoffman. Hey everybody, and hey Mayor Dick Clarke. How you doing today?
Good, and the Yankees are 1-0 to start the season. Gotta be
Perfect.
good. No, it's busy. It's kind of one of those times of year that creeps up on people because now you don't see snow plows, so you don't know what is happening there. We haven't yet started some of the springtime stuff, but they are ready. They're locked and loaded. We were mentioning before we started that brush pickup starts April 3rd, which is Monday. And you are right. It is a sign of our age that we get excited about brush pickup is coming. But actually, it's nice because you start to see things get a little messy. People got piles of brush and stuff all over. And all of a sudden, one day you drive down the street and the street is clear. Now, in 2 or 3 days, it'll be brush again because it's a cycle that goes all year long. But it's so nice that people want to take care of their property, get that stuff out to the road. And I want to remind people, we have a new neighbor behind us who's been trimming trees and cutting down small trees because it was a yard full of trees, and he's got dogs and wants them to have a place to go without getting caught up. You have a long lead and they get around the tree, then he has to come out and undo them. And so he's been trimming them up. And I reminded him the other day, we were sitting on the deck, our grandson had stopped over and he was out, and I yelled over, April 3rd, brush pickup. Oh, good. So then he said he called up the DPW to double check, and they suggested he get a truck because he's got so much. I mean, he's got huge piles of brush, and it's easier to bring a truck and back it into the driveway so that people understand what that is. It's a dump truck that they bring to you at the end of the workday, and they come and pick it up at the beginning of the next workday. So if you've got a huge pile of brush, you spend all evening throwing it into the truck, and in the morning it's gone. Or you can have it for a weekend. But you have to sign up because there's not a limited number of trucks. But it's a great way to clean your yard. One big clean, and it's over with. So if you have a problem, it's 635-9665 is the DPW number. And Louise will take care of you and set you up with a truck. And again, you might have to be patient because there might be other people doing the same thing. But it's a rite of passage in the spring that the brush starts getting picked up. Yes. The crocuses start popping up. The hyacinths are showing. A lot of the flowers are coming through. We've had robins around for a couple of weeks now, which is, to me, is never mind the guy sticking his head out of the hole and seeing his shadow. That when the robins are here, good things are coming.
Nice.
So the robins have been around, and see a lot of geese flying over, coming back to the area, the ones who don't stay here for the winter. And it's a good time. It's a great time of the year. It's like a rebirth. Everything starts to pop. The trees have got buds on them. Won't be long before people will be mowing lawns, and we'll be back in that cycle.
Well, if anybody's gone to Mercer Park since I moved in, my neighbor. So if you're at Mercer Park looking up, my neighbor to the right, they allowed me to destroy their yard to take down trees. And so they have a straw backyard, Mayor, and all I keep waiting to do is plant seeds because, luckily they still like me because I made their yard a mud pit. So that sign of spring means that, like you mentioned, mowing grass. I want to be able to grow some grass because,
there you go.
You feel bad when you look out and you ruin, but super nice people. It was kind of a mutual thing that we wanted to do, but their yard definitely took the brunt of it. So,
excuse me, it won't be long before it looks better.
Yeah.
Speaking of the DPW, we are looking for a new mechanic. Skip Sosha is retiring after several years of fixing our trucks and our plows and everything else. So if you have a history of being a mechanic, this is heavy mechanic stuff for the most part. Good job. It's a 40-hour week, good pay, good working conditions. Get a hold of the DPW and talk to Chuck McAuliffe. By July 7th, we will have a new clerk at the DPW. Louise is retiring.
Wow.
She agreed to hang around a little longer than she had planned because we just changed village clerk, and everybody moved around in that office. and thought it'd be very hard for a new clerk to have at the DPW, not to have anybody with experience to turn to with a question. So it gives us a few more months for everybody at Village Hall to get more acclimated to what they're doing. So now when somebody calls from the DPW and says, what is this program? Where do we have to do? It's more likely that somebody will be relaxed and feel like they could take the time maybe to help guide that person through the next few steps. It's one of the nice things about those positions. Like when Mark Baker came on board as treasurer, he had Maureen Butler, who had been the treasurer. Anna wasn't far away if he had questions. So there were people to talk to. So you didn't feel like you were out on an island and going to sink the island if you made a mistake.
Yeah.
So,
well, speaking of Mo obviously retiring, now we have DPW, she's retiring. And then are you going to talk about codes at all?
yep. Just going to,
because that one's near and dear to my heart too.
Yeah. Our Greg Humphrey moved on to a bigger and better job. We really miss him because he's been here for 10, 11 years and brought a lot of it, or more than that maybe, and brought a lot of experience to the job as he developed it. He didn't have any to start with, but he worked very hard to get to know what was important, and so he could prioritize the order in which he attacked things. He was behind our Main Street grants as far as getting them all filed. And we had, just so people know, we just received word that we got another round approved. We have 7 or 8 businesses that are on that list.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be long before we'll be able to look up and down the business district and say, maybe there's 1 or 2 businesses that haven't been fixed up, but otherwise everything has got a new look to it. A lot of people have taken advantage of it. Some still haven't gotten done what was approved a year or 2 ago because of, the economy made things more difficult. The price that they were quoted now is not going to cover what they want to do, so they're waiting a little bit. And the county has been very accommodating and understanding of that situation and allowing us to extend the agreements. So, but we do have a new code officer, officially starts Tuesday, I believe, Tim Gainey. I don't know Tim, but I know of Tim. When I was working for the Post Standard and covering government, one of my areas was the Jordan Elbridge communities, the town of Elbridge, the village of Jordan, the village of Elbridge, fire departments, and that type of stuff. And Tim Gainey was a guy whose name you saw a lot in the Elbridge area. At one point, he was mayor. He was the fire chief. He's been a code officer for the town of Brutus, which is just west of Elbridge. He is now currently a code officer, has given him notice. He lives in Liverpool. He's nearby. He's going to be a part-timer who will work as many hours as it takes to get the job done and be flexible. So one week he might work 40 hours, and next week he might work 15. And, there's quiet times in those kind of jobs where there's not much happening, and you come in for an hour or 2 in the morning and it's taken care of. So if you get a chance, folks, if you're the type that gets permits a lot, next week, new code officer, stop by and say hi. I think you enjoy. I got a real nice reference from Kenny Bush, one of the county legislators, who was, at the time I was working in that area, was the supervisor for the town of Elbridge. So he obviously knew through the fire department stuff, through the mayor stuff. He knew Tim Gainey very well. And Kenny knows everybody in those 2 communities, and very highly recommended him. Chuck McAuliffe talked with him and really was impressed with his knowledge, but with his attitude, because a codes guy has to be able to get along with people, because a lot of times you're telling people no, or you're telling people you can't have that couch in your front yard, and it's sometimes the way you go at it makes a big difference. And from what I've heard from everybody, Tim has a very nice personality. And so I hope that our village people will enjoy having him around, and he's ready to step right in and go. I mean, he's not one of these guys who has been working at, Lowe's or Home Depot and decided you want to try something different. It's going to take him 6 months to figure out where the restroom is. He's equipped and ready. So
Well,
that's
that's
good
good
news.
because I got my stack of permits in my hand that have been waiting.
There you go. And he'll enjoy you, I'm sure. Invite him up for the view of the river.
Yes.
Big deal with our parks. We just signed a deal with a company that sets up kayak rentals. So they put these big caged units that like stack four. They're like big lockers on their side, and in each one is a kayak with paddle and with a life preserver and that life jacket and that type of stuff. And you sign up online ahead of time, and then you use the QR code, and you go down and you put your phone up to the little computer type thing, and it unlocks it. You pull your stuff out. You go out for you sign up for 2 hours, so you go out. You come back, you put it back in, you lock it up. The computer registers that you brought it back and sends you a bill that you pay on your Visa or whatever, however you pay it. And we started out with a unit that only has 4, just because we really don't know how it'll go. But it will offer people living in apartments, particularly, who don't have any place to store a kayak. I mean, if you wanted a kayak, you'll have a place probably in your backyard where you can set it up against the fence or in a garage or something. A lot of people don't have that luxury, so that they want to go out kayaking once in a while, but don't want to spend a couple $100 to buy one and then try to figure out where to store it. Now they can sign up here. Now you do have to be aggressive, because if you just show up, there may not be any there. You go online and it tells you which ones they're all in use or they're not, or when they're supposed to be back, that type of stuff.
Is that going to be a community? Is that going to be a community park or Mercer Park?
Community park. We figured below the dam made better sense than some rookie trying to get out on a kayak and suddenly being headed towards the dam and not being able to stop. At least below, if you float downriver, you go down a Dogga Lake, and you can always pull over on the shore. We think that's a good spot anyways. Community park is bigger, can handle more cars parking, than Mercer Park. And, we're very proud of our parks. Matter of fact, my sister has asked me to do a did you know type of thing for PAC-B on all of our parks. So we will go like to each park for 6-7 minute little capsule and, be able to show some of the highlights of the park. And we've really got nice parks for people. I think for people who can't afford to go on vacation every summer but have kids, there's places to go and have a lot of fun. We have softball fields. We have playgrounds at Community and Mercer Park, pavilions for picnics. The whole goal is for people who have to stay local, who have limited incomes, to have a place to go and wander into the park with they stop at Subway and grab some subs or whatever and go have lunch on a Saturday afternoon with the kids, and they're swinging and they're running around, and it's great for the health, great for the mental welfare. I really am very proud of what our DPW has done over the years to make our parks nice places to be, and we've added some things to the parks. Handicap picnic table where a wheelchair can slide right up and people can have the table come right to their chest and be able to eat with everybody else, just to include more people. So keep an eye out for the kayak. That should be early June, and we'll have stuff on our Facebook and our website telling people how to sign up, and a little bit of, I'm sure that they'll send us a video that shows people getting a kayak. And we have excuse me, we have the launches at both sites for the handicap accessible usage, and so it doesn't limit who can get the kayaks. So then let me see here. Things are starting to go a little bit at Paper Mill Island. We've got 2 concerts signed up, and I know that they were looking for a date in September, and we were trying to make sure it didn't interfere with the Taste of Baldwinsville, and it doesn't. So there'll be 2 different kind of events, at least in September. One from Creative Concerts, and the other, from the Taste of Beeville, which is always a great day.
Do you have the concert that has the fireworks for the 4th of July yet?
I think there's one for June 1st or July 1st. So I'm assuming that will be the night we'll probably have it. Rather,
Okay.
we sort of have advised them stay away from the 3rd and the 4th because everybody has fireworks those days. Let's have it a different day so people can then go to 2 or 3 different ones. But we'll have more on that as it happens. But one of them is a tribute Zach Brown tribute band and a Led Zeppelin tribute band. So you should be able to hear it good from your backyard.
Yes. And I can see the fireworks too. So
let's see. We're working hard to get a grant for Canton Woods. The county has a program to make money available for senior centers. And our senior center, which I selfishly think is the best one in the county, we have a lot of work we would like to do. The roof needs to be replaced. There's 7 furnaces in that building, believe it or not. Just the way it was an old medical center years ago, and then it was added on, and then it was added on, and then in order to supply heat and air to all the different places, they have 7 different HVAC units. So we might need to replace them, and there may be some work that needs to be done on the Meals on Wheels kitchen. So we may try to lump all of them into one grant and keep our Canton Woods facility up to speed. All right, go on to page 2. This coming meeting next Thursday, we'll be working on approving a 5-year plan, which is getting money from the county through community development. We're very limited on what we can do because it's an income-based grant, low income. But it also, in the county's way of doing things, they include the elderly and handicap as low income. As if you're doing something that helps the elderly or something designed to make things easier for handicapped people, that equals being low income. So we've done an awful lot of work around the village through community. I mean, Steve D'Arcangelo had put a list together 3 or 4 years ago, and we had like 30 or so items that we have done through the community development block grants. That overlook down on the trail that it kind of goes out over the water a little bit. That was through a grant. Trying to think. I think the sidewalk that goes along the edge of Mercer Park down to the beach area, that was put in through a community development grant. A lot of those types of things. So, we're looking at the possibility of maybe 2 or 3 small things that we could look at. Upgrading McCary Park to make that more usable for people wanting to picnic, particularly neighborhood people.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a trail right now, a walking trail in Community Park that goes through the woods around the park, and it's just natural, and it makes it hard for people if somebody's walking with a cane or somebody's in a powered wheelchair. I don't think they can get through there. There's too many roots and rocks and things. So we were talking about paving that whole area, which would make that just that much more accessible to that group of people. So we'll talk about that at our next meeting. I'm very excited to see how the smokehouse is going, the Angry Smokehouse.
Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I mean, if anybody doesn't think Jeff Rogers is a bit of a genius when it comes to restaurants, I mean, the Angry Garlic has been a phenomenon for a couple years, and now the Smokehouse is just as good. And I go by the Garlic, and they still have people. Like, I was at the Light the other day, and there must have been 20 people in a line going in that building. And I thought, well, they're both going good. People aren't going to fight the traffic at Smokehouse yet, so we'll still go to Garlic and wait for things to even out. But pretty soon they're going to have the outside going, and more people will show up. So, I think it's been pretty cool that our little village continues to be very attractive to people from in the village and outside. I mean, there's reasons to come to Baldwinsville, and I hope that our efforts to upgrade things along the river and the walkability and stuff add to all of that charm, that I can take a walk and then stop and have a beer at the smokehouse and a pulled pork sandwich or whatever. And, I'm guessing that there's people probably from all over the county coming out. We've become a destination that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I got a bunch of little notes written down. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. I did talk to Chuck McAuliffe this morning, and he's put in the order for a new backhoe. A lot of things going on within the DPW. A lot of improvements in the water system. We're upgrading the Canton Street well facility, pumps, the fluoride and chlorine pumps, and all the stuff that goes into making that facility work. We're going to be adding cameras at all our facilities so that at any time, day or night, we can check. And if something sounds screwy, Chuck has a SCADA system which tells him exactly how much water is flowing through each well at any time, day or night. And if one of them is not registering, you could go look at the camera and just see, did somebody break in, cause a problem? The police can have access to that, just go in and take a look at it once in a while. If there's reports, maybe kids have been hanging out near those areas. So that just makes all of our systems stronger. And
before we go too much farther, your wife did say you might want to mention the parking for the smokehouse. Is there something that's coming into the village about the parking there?
Well, it is an issue. I mean, nobody wanted to cause any problems, and so you can't have people coming. But I've got to get a list to Jeff Rogers of the public parking lots that are, like you could park by where the Cottage restaurant is and walk over the bridge. When this weather's nice, it's 75 degrees. That's not unusual. I mean, if you're 80 years old, you don't expect people to make that walk. But if you're a younger person, not only is it easy to find a spot to park, but when it's time to leave, you don't have to worry about cars being jammed all around you. And it's a nice problem to have. And we're going to, I'm going to try to work with Jeff a little bit and see if we can offer them a way to offer patrons. There's parking down on Meadow Street, just down when you turn left. You come from the Four Corners over the canal bridge and turn left and go down Water Street to Meadow.
Okay.
Right at the end at the bend, there's a parking lot that it's basically a 2-block walk. There's parking up by Shacksboro, I don't know, 10, 12 spots by the road. And it's, again, another 2.5 block walk, but on a nice late spring, summer type evening, it's not really a long walk. I mean, I assume if you sit at
we parked behind 12 Oswego Street and walked over. Actually, we walked over, there was a wait. So then we walked back. I did a little bit more work and then I walked back over and had lunch.
Yeah, if you go to Baldwin Square, there's plenty of parking there. And that's not a very far walk to go. I mean, you have to cross over Oswego Street. I mean, if it's busy time of night, that can be hectic, but we just are trying to make sure that the neighbors in the area don't get the brunt of the problem. Where, like, we've had a couple issues with people. There's a couple houses right on Canton Street next to the smokehouse, and people have parked in front of their driveways. And Mike Lefencheck has been good and said, just have them call the police and we will come. What they did in the beginning was go inside and say, here's the license plate. They're parked in front of somebody's driveway. If they got to move it, or we're going to ticket them. And Jeff has been very good about sending people out to move their vehicles. But it'd be nice if they didn't have to move it and try to find a parking spot after they were halfway through their dinner.
Well, but honestly, Mayor, and I don't say too many Baja things, but if you're blocking someone's driveway, I mean, common courtesy is you don't block someone's driveway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I don't think.
Though, there's people who don't think of other people all the time, but they don't put other people first. So you just tell people that as things pick up, and he's got a deck that he thinks will sit 100 people. You add
Can't
100
wait.
people to that, we're going to have to make sure they're parking somewhere else. And so I want to help Jeff be able to put on his website, if you're coming, you can avoid the crunch by parking in Village Square or Baldwin Square, by the cottage. There are parking areas nearby that you aren't going to be able to park at the front door, but
Yeah.
that's
I know the Rotary, when they do Seneca River Days, they always post a map of all the parking spots in the village where people can park. So those maps kind of exist and stuff.
I do have one, and I've got it located. Greg Humphrey had put it together a couple years ago when we were having questions about parking. Where was all the parking? And we showed people that if the parking lot at Baldwin Square is full, you can park across the street at the cottage. You either can walk under the bridge and around if you want to avoid traffic, or you come up the ramp and cross over, and you're right there. It's really.
And that's true for parking in Baldwin Square for the smokehouses. You can go you got to go a little bit this way to go under the bridge, but then you don't have to cross over Oswego Street anymore, or the
Right.
the main streets there.
If it's 4:30 at night and a lot of traffic, you probably don't want to dodge cars, but you're on a Wednesday afternoon at 3:00. It shouldn't be a whole lot of problems crossing the street. But again, it is an alternative. And so we are going to work on that. Jeff has been very good at trying to make it be accommodating, as he always is.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
Just wanted to mention the loss of Bob Sheehan, who started the appliance business just up the street from you. Bob and Nancy ran a great business. They were great ambassadors for our community as far as anybody going in there to shop. Got to talk to those two. They were great. Now Chris and Blake are doing the same thing, and it's we try to get everything we can from them. And Bob passed away, I don't know, maybe a little month ago or so, and certainly I'll miss him as a friend, but I appreciate what he did for the community. He was a real pillar of the business community, and just a great guy. Congratulations in order to Sally Dagger and Bill Mercer, the Volunteers of the Year. That will be April 22nd at Pasta's. Contact the Volunteer Center for tickets. It's always a very nice affair, and it honors people who go above and beyond as far as volunteering for our community. So many times I've gone to that banquet and not ever heard of the person who was being honored. And then I can't imagine why I've never heard of them when they read off what they've done, because they've been involved like in every event that's gone on in like the last 25 years. They had something to do with, and they're involved with the Rotary or the Optimists or one of those kind of groups, and they're serving breakfast for the poor and doing all kinds of the list. They rattle it off and you feel embarrassed. What have I done compared to them? So it's really a nice way to get out, and usually a lot of the past winners are there, and Megan O'Donnell is the host for the thing, and she'll read off the former members or the former award winners who are there, and you look around the room and you go, I know 3/4 of the it's all people, mostly people and then some, like I say, never heard their name, and yet our village would fall apart without them. Our community would. So it's a wonderful night to honor the volunteers, and you can get tickets. Trying to think if there's much. The senior center is just going crazy. They have really bounced back from the COVID when they couldn't do anything. Then they slowly worked back. Now, I showed my wife, we just got the newsletter and the calendar of events. There's a day with 4 things on it is the least amount of any day.
That's awesome.
So 8 or 9 events on other days, lunch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, special events, music, special things. You need to call the center, 638-4536. They'll send you a newsletter, get you on the list for a newsletter so you know what's happening. A lot of there's this Jerry Callie, I believe, in April. uh, they've got, I saw 3 or 4 more events lined up. I don't know if they're going to go outdoors with some of them, because that was a COVID thing, but it was really very popular. People enjoyed being out in the sunshine, and the singer was up in the gazebo, and it was really a nice event. And again, the senior center just continues to amaze me at what they provide for our seniors. And not just the events, but the little things, the every day-to-day things that make people, people come in and go, I don't know, I didn't get any notice on this. What am I supposed to do? Hold on, we'll contact somebody for you. So they take care of the littlest needs of people, and then that's what's really important. Just for you to notice, 66 on Saturday,
Yes.
60 on Monday, and 70 next Wednesday.
Wow.
So
Is there snow? Is there snow in between?
And I think there's one day where it's going to be 36, but you could take your dog and go walking and introduce him to the ducks and the geese. And
Yes. He did go back to sleep. He's 11 weeks.
11
Want to see him again?
Yeah. Let everybody see him.
Oh, come here.
This is an Australian Shepherd.
Yes. Look how cute. Say hi.
Aww. Little Blue.
He's 11 weeks.
Wow.
His name is Blue. What's that?
How long have you had it?
2 days.
Oh, well, okay. He's still trying to figure out what the heck happened.
I know. Well, I know. Well, I was talking to Tim Nobles today, and I said, I can't believe I got a dog. And then I thought Taylor's going to college, so it might be I don't know, like I'm feeling sad about losing my, Tay and I are always together. Allie's still at the house, but she's talking about doing upstate volunteering. And I don't know, Mayor, I'm getting old. So this puppy's cheering me up quite a bit.
They're a lot of fun, especially in the wintertime when it's cold and, you have it cuddle up on your lap. And, we always had dogs when we were kids. And then when the last one died, my mother said to my dad, that's it. I'm getting wall-to-wall carpeting. I never would put carpeting in when we had a dog. She's gone. The carpeting comes, no more dogs. Then they got cats. My sister Cindy's big into cats.
I was going to say, I know Cindy likes cats.
She's a cat rescuer, and she would bring home a cat. She'd see a cat somewhere and say, I don't know. He was just sitting on the sidewalk, and we looked so lost. I said, yeah, somebody's just crying because their cat's gone now. But we ended up with 3 of them, and my parents both loved them. They were great company. They'd get up and curl up on their lap, and pets are wonderful.
Yes. So you'll see Blue around the community a little bit, I bet. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking to see if there was anything that I had scribbled a lot of notes, but I don't think I missed much of anything. Any questions?
I don't think so. Brush was the big one, but Chuck answered that for me yesterday because a couple of people have some things outside and they were wondering if they were going to get picked up this week. And he said, no, it's going to be next week. So
yeah, I think they're hoping that the snow is, I don't think there's going to be any snow in the meantime.
No.
So
well, I'm excited for the weather. Like I said, I thought we had spring was here, and then I was up on Onondaga Hill the other day, and I walk out of an appointment, and there's just snow all over my car. And I was like, where did that even come from?
We've had a screwy spring, February and March. I mean, we had 4 days in a row where it was like 55 degrees, and all of a sudden it was 20.
Yep.
It's very hard to adjust to that kind of stuff.
I know. So, but I think it's a good time too to get a puppy because he doesn't mind being outside, and he's already good. He's already 90% of the time doing his business outside. So I'm lucky.
And I don't know if you've talked to the chief lately. I think they upgraded their body cameras, and they're trying to get to where everybody has a camera instead of having to you wear it. And when I come in the next shift, you give it to me. This way, everybody would have their own.
I have to text him. We're supposed to talk next Monday or this coming Monday. I just have to, fortunately, unfortunately, sometimes he's always learning and growing and doing things to better himself. And so he was at a conference or convention one time. And then sometimes, unfortunately, he's on duty doing something that, is the reason he's here. So we've missed a couple couple talks as well. But I believe this coming Monday we should be live in the morning.
And speaking of the chief, I think people should be very comforted in knowing that a lot of the things that get discussed with an incident like happened in Nashville, the very sad shootings and stuff, our schools have officers in the schools. Much has been done to protect in egress and ingress to the building so that people can't just wander in off the street in many of the buildings. We're probably ahead of the curve on resource officers and that type of stuff, protecting our kids. Don't want to jinx us and say anything crazy, but I think at least we've done what we legitimately can do to protect everybody. So doesn't make it any easier to watch what happened the other day. That was terrible. And but again, the response from the police was 14 minutes after the incident started, the shooter was down. That's brave police work, not knowing what they were running into, and they took care of it quickly and minimized the carnage. But I know everybody's gotten on this thing where thoughts and prayers don't do anything. They don't want to hear it, but sometimes it's all you can do. And from my religious beliefs, it's not to say not all. I mean, that is the best thing you can do, is to pray for some sanity. And don't like to get a downer, but
well, unfortunately, it's been a tough spring in other places in here in Baldwinsville. So, I've definitely spent a little bit more time than I had been in the past, praying and sending well wishes to people. So it's
good for you.
It's tough. So, all right, Mayor. Well, let's go back to the sunshine on Saturday. I'll think of you when I'm outside doing yard work for the brush pickup next week.
That's right. Get your brush out for Monday.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Shelley. Take care.
Bye.